Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Pranamam to all blessed souls. In mantras 4 and 5, we have seen that the Rishi is trying to express the inexplicable Brahman, explain the concept of Brahman, which is inexplicable, which is indescribable, resorting to contradictory terms. The Rishi is a great poet. He speaks in mystic language. He resorts to these contradictions, and strangely enough, these contradictions actually pave the way for leading us to a great unified vision of the universe. The Brahman is not different from the universe. The universe has arisen from Brahman. If the universe is there, if the universe has been created, its oneness has to be established in our mind, and that is effected by the contradictory terms. In the 6th and 7th mantras, the Rishi is telling what is the nature of a person who has seen the oneness of creation. The essential teaching of all Upanishads is this oneness, the oneness of the existence, the oneness of existence. Whether the worlds exist after creation or the worlds do not exist at all, the oneness of existence, that is the main idea, that is the crux of the teaching of the Upanishads. That is made clear in stanzas 6 and 7. A person who has seen this unified vision, who has had this unified vision, who has seen this oneness, how does he behave? We have seen earlier that Atmahantas, those people who kill the Atma, the killers of the Atma, go to darker and darker areas of sunless gloom. What happens to those people who have reached the vision, who have arrived at a vision where they see the oneness of the creation? That is explained in stanzas 6 and 7. Let us see stanza, that is mantra 6. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmannevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. Yastu sarvani bhutani. Ya, who? Ya means who. Ya tu yastu. Whosoever sees anupashyati, is sarvani bhutani atmani eva. Sarvani bhutani, all the created, all creatures, all beings, whether they are animate or inanimate, all these things have been created. All these things have become, as against the Atma, which has never become anything, which will never cease to be anything, because it has been there always. It has never been born, and so it will never die. It is existence for all time, eternal existence. It has not become anything. But all the things that we see around us in this Jagat, in this universe, they are all things made. At one point or the other, it has been made. And at one point or the other, it will dissolve also. These things, whosoever sees all these things, all these created things in the Atma, in the Self, S, capital S, sees in the Self, Sarvani Bhudani Atmani Eva, Sarva Bhudeshu Chatmanam. Similarly, all these in the Atma, and in all these created things, what does he see? The person who has reached, who has had this vision, who has reached and who has seen what should be seen, what does he see? He sees that he is there, the Self is there in all things. He identifies himself with Brahman, the great Self, and he sees himself in all these created things, and he sees all these created things in himself. The vision is complete, totally complementary and complete. For such a person, Tata, because of this vision, he na vijugupsade. He doesn't withdraw from anything. He doesn't shrink away from anything. He is not repulsed by anything. He doesn't hate anything. This vision of unity, it is not at a material level. It is normal for us people to say, those people are also of flesh and blood. I am made of flesh and blood. Those people are also of flesh and blood. So I should be empathetic to them. It is not in this sense that the Rishi has mentioned this. It is not in this material sense. Very often we refer to the functions of the prana and when we say their hunger is just like mine. Hunger knows no distinction. No distinction of hierarchy, no distinction of position. For all creatures, hunger is just the same. When we are hungry, we crave for food. It is so for all creatures. When we are thirsty, we hanker after water. It is not in this sense. There is a similarity. There is the feelings are identical, but it is not in the context of the functions of prana that here the equality is mentioned. Not equality, oneness is mentioned. It is also not in the context of the mental outpourings, feelings like, I love my mother. If my mother is sick, how anxious would I be? He is also probably undergoing the same kind of anxiety. He also loves his mother. He should be loving his mother. So at the mental level, we are alike. It is not that kind of identification that has been mentioned. Similarly, if I am able to crack a mathematical problem, I'll be very happy. So should it be with him. So I should help him do that. It is not in that sense, at the level of the intellect also, that this identity is established. This identity has been established at the level of the spirit. Forget about all the material similarities or differences, all the similarities or differences at the level of the pranic function of the prana, or the intellect, or the mind, or anything for that matter. It is at the level of the spirit. Let us forget about all the adjuncts of name and form and other things. It is at the level of the spirit that the oneness is there. Let there be differences at the level of at the material, intellectual, mental level. Despite all that, in spite of all that, through all that, transcending all that, the oneness of the spirit has been established here. Sri Shankara Bhagavad Padar refers to this mantra, and in his bhashya, what he has said would take us to the conclusion that Sri Shankara Bhagavad Padar has meant this to be this mantra is meant for the mendicants. A mendicant who is a mumukshu, who is yearning for moksha, he looks around and he, by his training, by Guru Kripa, by his training, Bhagavad Pada doesn't speak about training or anything. Bhagavad Pada says that a mendicant who is hankering after moksha, who is actually looking for moksha, who is working for moksha, he would look around and see that all these things, from the unmanifest to the unmoving, living or otherwise, animate or otherwise, from the highest state of existence, from the unmanifest, we can say from Brahmapada, if we are able to comprehend the term manifest by that, let us say resort to that expression. From that to the last inanimate thing, all these things, he sees all these things in his Atma, and in all these things he sees his self. So there is no question of his hating anybody. Vijugupsade, Shankara Bhagavad Pada, Sri Shankaracharya puts the interpretation, Grinam na karoti, he doesn't hate anything. Sri Aurobindo Ghosh explains it with a slight difference. Such a person doesn't shrink away from anything. As far as we are concerned, it is just what we have to understand is that in the undifferentiated Brahman, we are that. Everything that we see around us is that. That being the case, there is no second to the Brahman. Brahman is Advidiya, one, and so there is no scope for hatred. There is no scope for aversion. There is no scope for repulsion. There is no need for us to shrink away from that. This grand vision of unity, this grand vision of oneness, this is what a person who is established in self, this is the vision that he gets. The word anupashyati, he sees, pashyati would have been enough. What is mentioned here is anupashyati. People put two interpretations. Some people say that anupashyati would mean that continuously. Anudinam means day after day. In every act of seeing, he sees this. He continuously sees this. This vision doesn't leave him at all. It is not as though in one moment we see that, next moment we don't see that. No, anupashyati, it's continuous. The other acharyas say that pashyati sees after something, sees after what? Following something. Anugamanam is accompanying somebody. So this vision is received because we are following the advice, the teachings, the instructions from the Guru. Through the Guru Parampara, we have received this, and so we are firmly established in this. This has been in a small prefix. It has been made sufficiently clear that this vision, how do we get it? Maybe some people might get it by intuition, but otherwise it is through learning from the Gurus. In a traditional way, we learn it from the Gurus and we get established. This is what is actually conveyed through by prefixing the small two letters, Anu to Pashyati. The next mantra is also by and large the same in spirit. That let us see in the next session. Pranamam to all blessed souls. Hari Om.